It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
It's that time for your weekly cup of coffee right here at Slumberland at the Lake, and it's the Black Friday sale. So, Chris, we're going to do some shopping.
Yeah, baby, and there's no better place to shop than right here.
This week's show, we got some casino updates, not just one, but two potential casinos at Lake of the Ozarks. Plus, hey, I heard there were some guys catching a whole bunch of fish with nets. That's not allowed.
Yeah, like over 300 or something, right?
Yeah, massive. Nearly 1,000 fish. We'll tell you about that. Plus, Town of Stover's Sports Complex. $15 million they were looking to add to the tax levy for people in that district. That fails. We'll tell you about that. High school football, and a neat story of a man lost at sea for 67 days and lives. That and a whole lot more on this week's Cup of Coffee.
Hey everybody, it's Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture at the Lake. We're starting our Black Friday sale. I know it's early, but the deals are so good we couldn't wait. You need to come check them all out. We've got deals for every room of the house, and we're doing 0% interest financing for up to 36 months. And if you're going to do a Tempur-Pedic or Stearns & Foster, we're going to extend that to 72 months. Don't forget, we deliver the entire lake area, so come check it all out at Slumberland Furniture. We're bringing happy home.
Dr. Matt Price here.
And I'm Dwayne Randall, and we are from Price & Randall Injury Attorneys.
With Thanksgiving around the corner, it got us thinking
about all that we have to be thankful for this year.
Of course, family, friends, our health.
But it also got us thinking about how important safety behind the wheel is.
And with travel plans surely in your future, don't forget to buckle up and put your phones down.
This Thanksgiving reminder to drive safe, boat safe, brought to you by Price & Randall Injury Attorneys.
Yeah, remember to drive safe and boat safe. Speaking of which, later in today's show, really cool story about a guy who boated probably somewhat safe, but ended up 67 days lost at sea. We're excited about this one. We're going to tell you about.
It's a pretty interesting story.
All right, so hey, before we dig into this week's show, first, you got to check out some of these sights and scenes around Lake of the Ozarks. We've been telling you for the last 5 or 6 weeks, right? As soon as we started to see the first tan, yellow, orange, gold leaves, we were telling you about fall foliage at Lake of the Ozarks, and courtesy of Skyview Photography and Daniel Carnahan. Check out Ha Ha Tonka. Of course, one of the hot spots is by that bridge down there in Greenview, the Hurricane Deck Bridge right there. You see that hillside?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
Unbelievably stunning. Thanks to Daniel Carnahan for those shots. Also, I saw this morning with the Eldon Advertiser that the Eldon School District, our friends in Eldon,
Yep.
they're in the top 5 percentile of school districts in the state of Missouri.
Wow. Eldon High School.
Yeah, they do an annual test with all the school districts, and over the last 3-year assessment, Eldon had an 88.8 score, which ranked them 26th across the state of Missouri, and this year they ranked with over a 90-point grade. It is one of the top school districts in the state of Missouri, and it grades their curriculum, their test scores. It also grades their readiness for next level with college and the workforce. And so Superintendent Matt Davis said, we're honored to be, ranked as one of the top schools in the state of Missouri, and we are committed to continuing to grow and improve. Really cool, and that's a testament to the people, the community, the students, and the staff there at the Eldon School District. They continue, to turn heads in Eldon.
Yeah, absolutely. Eldon's an interesting place. It's not on the lake, but it's right in between Jeff City and the Lake of the Ozarks. So it's a perfect place for a lot of people to live. It's really cool that school district is doing so well.
Yeah, they call it Gateway to the Lake
Yeah.
in Eldon, Missouri, courtesy of our friends at the Eldon Chamber of Commerce. So, hey, casinos, that has been a hot topic
Yep.
the last couple of weeks here at Lake of the Ozarks. And we told you last week about the city of Lake Ozark, had the 2 ordinances, the resolution of support for the Osage Nation casino. I attended that meeting last Tuesday. Many people spoke in opposition and a few in favor, but both 2025-48, 2025-49, both of those, the 48 was to do with infrastructure, 49 to do with municipal services. It's the first reading, the special meeting called, and the first reading on both passes unanimously. They'll have their second reading Wednesday this week due to the holiday on the 12th, and they are anticipating having Osage Nation representatives there. Of course, we record on Tuesday, so I'm going to go to that meeting. Tune into Cup of Coffee next week. I'll be interested to let you guys know the results, and if you don't follow us on Facebook, I highly recommend it, because at last week's meeting, I got results posted from the meeting right after, and we'll continue to do that when we attend these meetings. A couple of people who spoke that were interesting. Uncle Chris, Ron Leon, who's a lobbyist for the oil industry in the state of Missouri, he spoke and said that the city had more leverage than they thought, and that the Osage Nation Gaming with their Class 2 would have a very big disadvantage over private casinos like Isle of Capri, and that the projections in revenue that we gave last week and that were come to by the city of Lake Ozark, their attorney, their city administrator, and Osage Nation's camp were farly too high, and he didn't see those coming to fruition. Timothy Faber spoke about Missouri voters already voted no on a casino, and even though they can't prevent them, they wanted to see them take a harder stance. There were people like Nadine Kelsey, Joe Rager, Rocky Miller, Larry Bustos. Rocky Miller came in, former state rep, and he said that he was for this. He was happy to see the city and, the local government being proactive. And so it was interesting, and it was a very productive meeting. I believe Mayor Ridgely, City Administrator Harrison Fry, and City Attorney Chris Rohr were very prepared and did their diligence. And now they do have an agreement in place as far as that first reading, that second reading on the 12th. But the important thing to note, Uncle Chris, is this casino doesn't require Missouri voters to come to fruition. However, the one that a lot of people feel like they already voted against, that this was it, it's not, right? The one that Missouri voters shot down last November was the private Lake of the Ozarks casino, formerly Osage River Gaming, and kind of quietly, right? This according to KRMS, when all of the hoopla and headlines and stuff going on with the Osage Nation casino in the city of Lake Ozark, Miller County Commission's meeting actually had developer Andy Pruitt and Lake Ozark Community Gaming, so new name. The commission approved a resolution of support to be sent off to the state if an initiative petition being organized is successful and being placed on future ballot and the issue approved by voters statewide. They're looking to amend the Missouri Constitution to allow a 14th gambling boat license, which of course would clear the way for a casino right there along the Osage River in the lake area. The proposed facility, if that's a huge if, it seems like this might be a bit premature, approved at the ballot boxes, will be developed by Osage Landing Development and be located along the same 60-plus acre parcel near the Osage River Bridge, which is the same location that had been chosen for that gaming facility again before it was rejected by Missouri voters a year ago. But no one really saw this coming, right? This was kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, kind of knew it was coming, though, since it failed on the ballot last year, almost a year ago to the day, that this was on the ballot to change the Missouri Constitution and allow a 14th riverboat casino right here at the Lake of the Ozarks. I think we were all kind of surprised that failed, but it's a statewide vote. So, people in Kansas City and St. Louis are voting for this, and if they want another casino, they're probably going to vote up for it. So we were all surprised it went down last year, but obviously they haven't given up on it. I think they've seen the progress of the Osage Nation casino, and they're like, well, we're not slowing down either. And if you think about it, if and when these two casinos do come in, which they probably will sometime in the next 5 to 10 years, they're not going to be far apart. The Osage Casino will be right across the street from Menards, and then the Missouri, whatever they're calling it now, that's going to be just down the road, down Highway 54 by the bridge. So they're actually going to be within, about a mile or two of each other.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is that last election, they spent millions to get that put on the ballot.
Yeah.
And Amendment 2, which was the online sports betting, which approved, is set to go into effect in just a couple of weeks, December 1st, 2025, here in the state of Missouri, which is online sports betting, right?
Yep.
So as we look at this particular private casino, those ifs, they'd still have to get it back on the ballot again.
Yep.
And then Missouri voters would have to approve an amendment in the Missouri Constitution, and there'd be other hurdles to get through. So as we look at two potential casinos at Lake of the Ozarks, I wanted to identify the difference between the Osage Nation Indian Casino project and the potential private casino, which you already voted against. So we'll start with the Osage Nation Casino. A sovereign nation, and with the proper hurdles cleared, would be cleared for Class II gaming without oversight by federal, state, and local authority, regulation, or taxation. Although local and state taxes aren't collected, it's common that pilots, which is payments in lieu of taxes, are predetermined by the municipality or tax collecting entity and the sovereign nation. Currently, the application for the Osage Nation is with the Federal Bureau of Indian Affairs, and if that's approved, the governor's office must approve that land going into a trust. And the timetable on that, well, it could be anywhere from 3 years, 6 years, 8 years. We just know that once that hurdle's cleared, Osage Nation indicates it's going to take them 3 years to have the resort casino fully operational, which we do anticipate they'd put something smaller up. In the meantime, as soon as those two happen, right? The application approved by the Federal Bureau of Indian Affairs for the land to go into a trust, and the governor's office must sign off on that. Immediately, they have the cleared path for Class II gaming. We think they'd build something small, right? Even though it's going to take 3 years. So we don't know exact timetable, but we know it's not overnight. And the private casino, Lake Ozark Community Gaming, formerly Osage River Gaming, which is the Pruitts, and they partner with Bally Sports. And again, they're attempting to amend the Missouri Constitution. That's why it needs Missouri voters from 13 casino license to a 14th. Now, this is private, so it would be subject to federal, state, and local oversight, regulation, and taxation. And in their aggressive effort was unsuccessful last time. They did get it on the ballot, which cost them millions again, but it was 48% voted yes, 52% voted no. And so it'll be interesting. You can go check out yesonfive.com. They were super tied in with the schools and literacy and all of where those funds would go. You can look at some of their initiative and the effort they put into this, but I'm unclear of what they'd have to do or how soon could this reappear on the ballots. I don't know, but there is the difference right there in those two casinos. And it's also worth noting that if Osage Nation comes to fruition like we think it will, there's nothing that prevents another Indian nation from buying land down here at Lake of the Ozarks and trying to replicate the exact same process. And so this could, I mean, I hate to say it, but this could eventually become a mecca for casinos.
Yeah, it could. I mean, they're trying. Neither one of them have been successful to get in yet, but I think they're both working their way, and I think they will both eventually probably be here. And from the last few weeks of doing stories on this, one of the main differences I think that we've noticed is the private one, since it will be subject to oversight, by the state will receive a lot of those revenues, not just the local municipality. Whereas the Indian casino, since it wouldn't really have state oversight, since the city of Lake Ozark is making deals with the Osage Nation on that one might be more profitable for the local municipality, since it wouldn't be regulated by the state. It'll be interesting to see how all that works.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that there is a difference, and now you can kind of see even more probably why the city of Lake Ozark was so proactive in wanting to have those things in place.
Yeah.
Because they want to make sure that if there's a casino in their community, that their community is gaining. So, but I did hear some great points, and I loved that meeting going back to the Osage Nation Casino last Tuesday, because they let everybody talk, and they even responded, which they don't have to, right? The elected officials don't have to respond directly in that time, and they did. It was cordial, it was, even though everybody didn't agree, I was impressed, and I even saw developer Jeff Tegedoff there just taking it in. And so it was a very well-attended meeting, and I'll have a full report for you guys next week on how the second reading goes for both of those resolution of support for Osage Nation. All right, so new local story. How about catching fish with large nets? That is not allowed in Missouri, is
No, it's just a rumor to you and me that there are actually fish in the lake, because we are not very good at catching them. But we found this story very interesting. 3 people pled guilty to illegally harvesting hundreds of fish from a small stream in Camden County, according to the Missouri Department of Conservation. Agent Justin Emery cited the individuals in September after finding them using throw nets, right? So they're not just throwing in a line and trying to catch a fish. They're throwing these throw nets to catch fish unlawfully, and authorities said the group had 14 smallmouth bass, 28 sunfish, 237 suckerfish, 713 other bait fish.
What are
probably
bait fish?
The little minnows and stuff like that.
Okay.
Probably all taken illegally. The 3 were charged, later pled guilty in Camden County Court. A 4th person was there, but they were not charged, which is interesting.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting because I only see those big fish nets like in movies and shows. Well, they exist, and the Missouri Department of Conservation reminds the public that the illegal harvesting of fish is actually considered poaching and harms Missouri waterways and wildlife, and anyone who witnesses suspicious or unlawful activity is encouraged to report it to the Operation Game Thief Hotline, which is 1-800-392-1111. Yeah, they don't want you doing that. And so the 3 people were charged and pled guilty in Camden County, but 992 fish caught with nets. I've been doing it wrong.
Yeah, you get plenty that way, but I think those are some hefty fines for stuff like that. So it probably was not worth the 900 fish that they caught in their nets, because they're probably, they'll be paying on that for a while, I think.
You ever see those videos pop up with game wardens and stuff, and people out, they're fishing and they're hunting and they get popped by the game wardens?
Yep.
That stuff is wild. So your reminder to make sure you know the laws when it comes to hunting and fishing so you don't harm Missouri waterways or water life. All right, so hey, another local headline. I didn't even know this was happening.
I didn't either.
Or that this was on the ballot, but the town of Stover's sports complex, Levy, that ballot issue fails.
Yeah, voters in Morgan County reject an increase in the operating tax levy for the Morgan County School District, which would have funded improvements for district buildings and the construction of a new athletic complex, all right? This has been a problem in Stover for a while. The ballot measure would have increased Morgan County R1 School District's operating tax levy by 63 cents per $100 of assessed value for the years between 2026 and 2045. According to the proposal, the school district planned to use the funds to construct, renovate, improve furnishing and equipping school buildings and facilities that they have now, but also constructing a new athletic complex there in Stover. Morgan County School District announced the acquisition of 20 acres. Hadn't heard about this.
Me either.
Acquisition of 20 acres for a future athletic complex situated on Highway N, just north of Stover Industrial Park there. That was back in July. School district located in Stover. Students have been using the Versailles City Park for games for several years.
Yeah.
Didn't know that either. So it's interesting, that kind of unfortunate for Stover that this didn't pass, because it probably would have helped them a lot in that school district. But then again, we spend so much money on schools that just seems to go down the drain anyway. You can kind of understand why people didn't want to do it, but didn't know that was even all happening. And apparently they still have those 20 acres that they purchased back in July.
Yeah, the district has been using the Versailles Parks, as you said, and their website stated that the goal of the project was to bring our Bulldog sports home. Their plan included both an east and a west sports complex and was estimated to cost approximately $15 million.
Yeah.
So that fails. We'll keep you posted. May come back, obviously. Plans, they got the 20 acres. I imagine they're going to be trying to do something.
There was a talk a while back that maybe Versailles and Stover would come together for sports competition, for football, basketball, having the both schools joining forces, to have players on teams. They decided not to do that at some point, but I wonder if they'll reconsider that.
Yeah, I think that Stover guys have the option to potentially play football in Versailles or Cole Camp, both close to them. I don't know if that's factual, but yeah, Stover doesn't have football, but they have one of the coolest basketball gyms. It's like a dome over there. Really neat. If you haven't been there, we'll have to get you over there for a Stover
I've not
game.
been there.
Yeah, it's a cool place. All right, so hey, did you see this? We need the lodging tax. Local entrepreneur Merlin Vandervoort says sales tax is down and the lodging tax needs to come back.
Yeah, he says it's a tragic thing, it's a terrible thing, and now we've got the receipts. So apparently, this has all been brewing for the last couple of years since the Missouri Supreme Court deemed it illegal the way tax revenues were being raised here at the Lake of the Ozarks to promote the lake, right? And this was a year or two ago. And with that money going away and the lack of promotion after that, people like Mr. Vandervoort are saying, hey, now the receipts are starting to show that our revenues have been dropping since that happened.
Yeah, this according to KRMS, who spoke with Vandervoort, and he said from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th of this year, sales tax in Camden County have dropped. It's significant considering the previous 10 years, the average retail sales tax had increased by 5.85%. Even in the COVID years, thanks to national publicity on the lake staying open, we saw sales tax receipts jump by over 4%. He went on to say, to get the lake back to prosperity, shared over these past several years in the lake area, the lodging tax needs to be rewritten and put back on the books. I reached out to Heather Brown with the Lake of the Ozarks Convention and Visitors Bureau. We'll be talking with her about what she thought of that. Of course, they do have the Amplified Marketing Program launched by the Lake of the Ozarks Convention and Visitors Bureau, which does apply for and receive matching dollars from the state of Missouri to market and advertise the lake area and their businesses they partner with. But this would be an idea, and it also raises the question, is the loss of the TCLA and the lodging tax, is it to blame, and is the lake isolated in the decrease in sales tax receipts, or is that something that's going on nationally with the recession? I don't have an answer for that, but I would say other tourist areas are probably seeing a dip, and the lake may even be a little bit less of a drop in the trend in other areas. I can't substantiate that. I would just say that talking to a lot of our business partners and a lot of people across the lake, maybe down a little bit, but I don't know if it's as drastic as some may lead you to believe.
I think though, with the receipt numbers down and everything, it is a good idea for local business leaders like Vandervoort and others, because we've got some genius business people in this area. I mean, I could name off 10 of them right now. If they get together and go, okay, how can we do this? How can we come together and in a right way raise money to promote the Lake of the Ozarks? I'm sure they could come up with a great plan to put all that together and do it. And if it's worth their while, if business really is dropping and they really need to come together to promote it, they can figure it out. Just do it in the right way, and you got good people that can operate it, like the Browns and everybody. We are just rich in talent, business talent, at the Lake of the Ozarks.
And I'll say this, the lodging tax issue is not dead or going away. The Lake of the Ozarks is one of the few areas that is a destination as far as tourism that doesn't have a tourism tax or a lodging tax. And just because before the way it was done was deemed unconstitutional doesn't mean there can't be a constitutional way to collect and disperse those funds to promote the area moving forward. So I don't believe that's going anywhere, and we're going to be eager to talk with Heather Brown and see what she has to say for next week's show. All right, this is a headline I've been wanting to get to. This is really wild. We are fascinated. I think most humans are fascinated with this, but a Russian man lost at sea, rescued alive 67 days later.
Right. So on October 14th, a fishing vessel in
2024,
so a year ago, a fishing vessel in the Sea of Okhotsk, this is Russian, right? So it's not here in the U.S., spotted a small inflatable boat carrying a Russian man. The man had set off to sea along with his brother and his nephew in August, and they find them in October, right? Authorities said, and this was highly reported in Russia, Russian authorities didn't name the guy. State media identified him as a 46-year-old guy. The state media reported that the man was found along with the bodies of the 15-year-old nephew and the 49-year-old brother. So he survived, but the two people he went out with they both died while he was out there.
Yeah, his name, Michael Pachugan, and he had set off to sea along with, as you said, his brother and nephew. The trio went missing on August 9th when they, as you said, set off for Sakhalin Island from Cape Prosky in the Khabarovsk region. I don't know any of that. But a rescue effort at the time was unsuccessful, state media said. Like, they couldn't find him. In the Sea of Okhotsk often freezes, as it's the coldest in the region. So Pachugan, as you said, was alive when they found him, but he had lost 110 pounds.
Wow.
Nearly half of his body weight. They actually said the only reason he survived is because he was obese when he was lost.
Interesting.
His 49-year-old brother and 15-year-old nephew, as you said, were deceased. And when they found him, he didn't know he had been rescued and that his relatives had died. However, at the time, prosecutors launched an investigation to seek to determine if there were safety violations that may have led to the two deaths. Well, guess what? In July, they say, of 2024, they found that Pachugan entered false information about the characteristics of the outboard motor into the purchase and sale agreement of the boat. And on the basis of an unreliable purchase and sale agreement, the vessel was allowed to operate. So he was in violation of the rules of traffic safety and operation of maritime transport, which negligently resulted in the death of 2 people. And you see here this map on screen. That is from the Sun, but that shows you the southwest part of Russia there, off the coast right there, where that sea, that ocean is, where he was found. Just wild that he was alive. And if it's not one thing to survive that, then when you finally get home and you live, then you're facing, you know, up to 7 years in prison. I'll be interested to continue to follow this and see if he is officially charged, but just crazy story.
When they found him, did they find the bodies of the 2 other guys?
Yes, he had tied them to his inflatable boat. They said it's a miracle. He lasted almost 2 months in that wild sea.
Yeah.
But once they died, he tied them to the inflatable so they wouldn't fall over. So crazy. He just wanted to get out of there so
That'd
he
be
could go home
nasty, right?
and bury him.
Wow.
Yeah, just wild. All right, so real quick football week. Amazing. Osage was dominant against Hallsville. They're playing in the district championship game. Maverick Trusty was superb. 10 of 14, 226 yards, 3 touchdowns. None better in this one right here, you see, to Drake Williams, making 2 would-be sackers miss, delivering a dime across his body to Drake Williams for the 31-yard score. 63-19 your final, and they'll get Moberly Friday in the district championship, and we all remember what happened week 2, right?
Yeah, they got down by 21 at halftime, came back and won the game on a last-second field goal.
Brady Clark, game-winning field goal. Osage wins 38-35. We'll have updates for you the entire game from that game. You can follow us on X. Also, the Lakers season ends at 3-8. They lose 62-28 at Lebanon. Quick update for Slumberland. Best seat in the house. How about a Dockworks clean sweep? Josh and Emily Hood.
Wow.
They tie this week at 11. In second place at 10, Alma Anderson, our season leader right now, and David Pottorf, who's also with Dockworks. So clean sweep for Dockworks. So Josh and Emily, since the 2-week tie, they both get a gift card. And then your updated season standings, Alma Anderson, 103 in first. Nick Reese in second with 102, and Big Rudy and Uncle Chris just on the outside looking in at 99.
Hanging in there, baby.
It's our Slumberland best seat in the house NFL Pick'em contest. Make sure you come by and see Slumberland. It's right now, Black Friday, and they got all kinds of great deals here around the store. And how about Missouri Tigers? You watch the game?
Yeah, they got their butts handed to them. But, you know, they're without a quarterback now. Their 2 top quarterbacks are hurt, and they're getting into the hardest part of the schedule with the SEC. It's going to be a rough few weeks from here on out, I think, for Mizzou.
Mississippi State, at Oklahoma, at Arkansas. Don't be surprised if the Missouri Tigers don't lose out on the season, finish 6-6 in the regular season, and get like the Lake TV Gasparilla Bowl or something.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
All right, and the Chiefs off the bye. They are 3rd in the AFC West. Tough one at Denver. Broncos 8-2. Are you surprised?
A little bit. We knew Denver was getting better and better. They got a real coach now, and that's good. But Kansas City, the Chiefs, they still have everything right in front of them. They played Denver two times to finish out the year. They've still got the Chargers. So even though they've had a rough start, the Chiefs can still turn it around and win everything. It'll be interesting to see. This next game is going to be huge. If they lose that, they're in trouble.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. They're on the outside looking in right now, 8th in the AFC. So before we go, just a little encouragement. As we as Christians, we love to call out others' failures, weakness, and shame. We somehow are like empowered, right, when somebody else is the one that fails and it wasn't us. However, let us not forget what the Apostle Paul instructed the church in Galatia, writing in Galatians 6:1, brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who are spiritual should restore them gently. Restore them gently. Good thought. Galatians 6:1, right from the Word of God. That's going to wrap up this week's Cup of Coffee from Slumberland at the Lake. Thanks for watching.